Hi, my name is Richard Markham. I'd like to talk to you about the Airbrush Master Series and some of the products brought to you by Ultima Air Products. Now we're going to start off with one of the main things we're going to be using during the home course is the Ultima TG. This gun right here, this airbrush, has a micron tip inside of it. Most micron guns get very expensive. What we did is we bought a lot of these so that we could actually reduce the price, but it's got a nice micron tip. There's a top of the line gun. It gets fine lines easier than a normal gun, but it also, because of that micron tips, it restricts the amount of paint that comes out of it. This allows you to have control that you don't have yet in the beginning of airbrushing. We also got a little spray regulator back here. Now you're going to take this and you're going to attach it with an air hose to your air compressor, so you're going to need yourself an air hose, and this will actually just screw right on to your airbrush. The other end of it will screw right onto your air compressor. Now from there we can also upgrade to what we have here is a quick connect system. You take the female part of the quick connect system and you cap off your air hose. Then you take the male part and you screw it onto your airbrush, connect the two together, and then you can go ahead and you do your spraying. When you want to disconnect it, just take it right off of there. This allows you to have multiple guns at the same time, but also leads us to our next thing. We have a holder right here. We've got two different types. One holder sits right on your table, the other one mounts to your table, and you just set your gun right in there. This will allow you to hold 4 guns at one time. This one as well will hold 4 guns. Now my personal favorite is this guy right here. This will hold up to 12 guns and bottles, hold your razor blades, all different types of products. You can put your paint in here and everything. You take this right here, it's got a couple pencil holders right there. You can put it right up against the wall, get it out of the way. You can screw it right to your easel, but also you can take and fold it right in half. It's easy carrying. Take that right with you. Next thing we're going to get into is you're going to need some paint. We're using, during this whole course system here, we're going to use a water-based paint, non-toxic, odorless. This allows you to be able to spray both in your home, basement, garage, anywhere where you don't need any kind of ventilation. We're going to be using water-based paint. Okay, we also got bottles here, 2-ounce bottles, 2 different styles here, both of them being plastic. I prefer plastic, that way if you drop them they don't break or anything. They're also easy to clean. That leads us to our mid-size gun. This mid-size gun we're going to be using 2 different ways during this course. One way, you're going to have a wide spray pattern. We can actually use it to base coat, lay out clears, anything like that. But also we can take and regulate our pattern down with this knob right here down to a nice tight spray, making this an overgrown airbrush. And then we can take some of these techniques and actually just make them go faster by using a bigger airbrush spray. We're going to use a lot of this masking right here, which we call artist masking. It's got a paper surface, low tack adhesion. This won't rip off any of your paint. This is going to work excellent for almost all of the techniques we're going to be going over. Then to add to your techniques, we have all different types of stencils here. We've actually designed these right here, the fire stencils. With these stencils right here, you can actually go in and put all the nice little tight flame licks in your flames. Then once you've got all your flames down and everything, you can go and use some of the skull stencils. We got about 7 different skull stencils here in this packet. You can buy them individually, or you can get them as a set of 7. These are solvent-proof. Not only can you use the water-based paint, but you can use solvent-based paints. They clean up. You'll be able to use them year after year, over and over, for all your different designs. We also took that same skull series and we shrunk it down to little minis. So you get all 7 of these in a mini series. And these right here work excellent for helmets, motorcycle tanks and parts. You just hold this little tab right here and do your spraying right over top of that. Next we have skull reference material. Now with the skull reference material, what this was my students used to go and they used to take all the different drawings that I've done over the last 17, 18 years, all the different skulls that I've put together. This one ripping out of something right here, this one side shot, this one with his axe through his head, all different types. Now you can take these, and these are just reference. If you needed a skull for something, you go to your reference right here, and say you need this skull smaller, or say out of this pile of skulls right here, you need this one right here, or just a couple, and whatever it is. It's just reference. You could take and put a projector, project this on. You could take and run it through a copy machine, enlarge it, reduce it, but it's just reference material for if you needed any type of skull. You probably find it in here. Grim Reapers, all different types of stuff. We'll be going actually over how to use some of this in the introduction video to the Airbrush Master Series. We also have these metal panels. They're aluminum, lightweight, easy to get around from show to show. You can take a whole bunch of these. They're white powder coat on both sides. You can take and scuff up either side or both sides and put some of the different airbrush techniques, do some demonstrations. You can take these panels to shows. You can also bring them to different garages, show off your artwork and stuff. These will work excellent for doing that type of stuff. And the last thing we have here are the air compressors. We got two different styles here. We have the single piston right here, and we got a double piston. Both of them will fill up about 75-80 pounds of pressure. Got two positions on our switch right here. If you click it up, you'll have automatic, where that will turn on at about 35-40, turn off about 60-65. Then if you turn it down, it'll be continuous run. Keep it at about 70-75-80 continuously. Okay, welcome to the getting control of the airbrush. We're just going to start off with a dual action airbrush. Dual action means you press down for air and you pull back for your paint. Now what we're using is a non-toxic, odorless, water-based paint. So it's very user-friendly. You can use it in your own basement, your own home, garage, anything like that. So we're going to start off. Now first of all, we got a protective cap right here on the front of the airbrush. We're going to take that off. Okay? The reason why is because when we're doing our techniques, we're going to want to keep that tip nice and clean. Okay? Every now and then we're going to peel off that paint that builds up right there. The cleaner we keep that tip, the better the gun is going to work. Now the first and most important thing is what's called a dagger stroke. When you're doing a dagger stroke, you're going to start by pressing down, pulling back as you're moving. And I'm going to show you that right now. What we got here is where we're going to do our practicing. Right here, an extra piece of paper so that we can keep our tip nice and clean, make sure it's working good at any time. Okay, we're going to start our dagger stroke right here by swinging like a pendulum back and forth. Now what we're going to do is press, keep the air on all the time. And we're going to start moving, then we pull the trigger back, turn it on, and we push it forward to turn it off. So we push down all the time, we pull back the trigger to start, and push forward to shut it off. So we're going to go on, off, as we go across. So we start, go on, off, come back, on, off, on, off. Now we're not worried about it breaking up, separating, anything like that. What we got to get down is that technique to make it second nature to turn it on and off. Now if anything, if you're going to practice anything at all, practice these dagger strokes until you get these totally down before you go on to anything else. This is the most important thing in airbrushing, is the dagger stroke, which is the basic control of the gun. Again, on, off, on, off, on, off. Once again, we're not worried about what our line looks like at this point. We do want to make sure our needle stays nice and clean. Right, nice and clean, get all that paint off of there. So we do get the best performance out of the gun. Off. Notice I'm keeping the air on all the time. We don't want any kind of handicap where you turn it on to start your line and off to stop your line. On, off, we don't want that. We want to keep your air on. Start moving, turn it on as you're going, and off as you're going. That will drag it out to a point. Start, on, off as you continue. On, and fill up as many papers as necessary to get this down where you can start just on the edge of the paper and stop before you hit the edge. Okay, now besides holding the gun properly when we're doing the dagger strokes, we don't want to hold way up in front of the bottle. We want to hold it right here. Then also, we want to gently just hold the bottle lightly. Okay? And we want to go back in here. This will help us to get control later that we're going to need when we get into fine detailing and stuff. Now we're going to go in here for the second thing, and we're going to do those same dagger strokes again. This time, once we go over it, we're going to go back over it, and we're going to practice our accuracy, going back and forth over that same line until it becomes nice and solid. And then we're going to go on to the next line, and we're going to do the same thing back and forth over that until they both look consistent, and we're going to go and do our whole paper like that. Back on the same line. Next line, on, up, Also, you notice that this hand not only helps to balance and to hold it, everything to steady you, but also you can adjust your depth away from your paper so that you're not wandering as you do your line, just like a machine, back and forth. The same, if you want to get closer for a finer line, you can stay that distance. If you want to get back farther, but you can stay nice accurate distance right here. On, up. Now we're not working with fine line right now. We're just trying to keep them all accurate and fill as many pieces of paper as need be to get this down. Okay, so once you can do that and you get them all accurate and in the right size and everything, and you starting and stopping, you get more control on the accuracy and everything, you're ready for the next step. You make a couple lines. Okay, now what you want to do for this exercise is come in and start your line about here, and you want to stop it right about here, right inside. Start, stop. We want to go back and forth over that same line, work on our accuracy. You do also want to work on getting in a little bit closer now. Now that you're getting a little more control and everything, you want to get a little bit closer and start tightening up that line a little bit. Start, stop. Go over the same line again. Go on to the next line. Keep your tip nice and clean. Right past it, right past it. whole point of this exercise is to really get down that control of rocking it forth, on, off, on, off. Because right here we can think, come in, on, off, turn it back, forth. But when we get down to the smaller ones, you can't think that fast, on, off, on, off, on, off. So once we get that control and we get it tighter and tighter, it becomes more of a feel. We just want to eventually pick up the gun and just be on, off, on, off. Don't think about it, just second nature, because that's the main ingredient, the main thing you want to get down is the dagger stroke. If you put any extra time whatsoever into anything, make sure it's into getting that dagger stroke down second nature. You want to get this second nature. You want to really get that feel. You want to get that feel. So you have the control to turn it on, off, with the air on all the time. Work on this, master this, get this down. When you get that down, we're ready for the next thing. So once again, you want to make sure this pyramid, you get this down real good. Now, a couple things I did want to mention is you don't want to take and wait for your paint to start, then go. You want to be moving when you start to pull back that trigger so you don't get something like this. Okay? You don't want to wait for it. You don't want this. Okay? You want to be moving. Now, you also want to get nice medium speed. If you go too fast, it might be too fast for you right now. If you go too slow, you might get a lot of shaking. There will be a happy medium where you get a nice speed where everything comes together. Eventually, that speed will pick up and get quicker and quicker. Don't rush it right now. Once you can do that, go back over them. It's going to give you a lot of practice with accuracy and give you more control. Pretty soon you should be able to just naturally be able to do these, because eventually you'll be able to get this down, but in the beginning it's going to be okay. Don't worry about that. Just keep practicing. Start big, on, off, where you can think, and just work it until it becomes more second nature. Okay, so now we're going to take that line and we're going to curve it and we're going to make ourselves a circle. What we're going to do is start, we're up close, and we're going to go right around with that line. We're going to turn it on, off, okay? Like that. Now don't worry about your circle being perfect or anything like that. That's not what we're working on. We're working on this line. Okay? We also want to work on darkening it up, keep our accuracy, stay right on it, go around it again. Make sure your tip is clean. Practice going both ways. On, off. On, off. We're still inside there doing that dagger stroke, so it blends in. If we don't, when we start and stop with blotches, you'll actually see that. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take that dagger stroke that we were doing, the bottom of that pyramid, on, off, that little dagger we were doing, back that up. From here, back it up now. And you get this. On, off. What we're going to do with that is bring it inside here. Turn it on, off, from a little bit of a distance. Off, on, off. And we get our shadows. Now don't go making a bunch of little balls. Make them pretty big, decent size, so that you can get control. Get up close. Go over it and around it. Back it up. On, off. Continue. On, off as you continue. Off. On, off. It's the same as if we're up close. On, off. On, off. On, off as we continue. Shut it off as we drag it around. Just take that, back it up, and we get that. Back it up. Off. That's the same as this. Just back it up. Another one up here. Don't worry if you can't stay on that line. That's why you're practicing. You want to practice your accuracy, not just going daggers back and forth, but also going around. Back it up. Start, stop. On, off. Off. On, off. Remember to drag that right around, stopping the paint as you continue. You don't want to get this. And you don't want to go back and forth with your gun on, okay? On, off as you continue. On, off. One more. On, off. On, off. There we go. Okay, so now that you've gone and you've done your dagger strokes, got some gun control and everything of lines, you went and did some circles, some shading and everything. In your kit, your Airbrush Master Series, you're going to get 3 different templates like this. Go and take and make a couple copies. I wouldn't suggest to use the original because then you just get that one shot. You're going to want to go and practice this and everything and over. So go make some copies of this, 11 by 17. And you got the full shaded version up here, outline shading and everything. You're going to look at this and you're going to go and duplicate it right here. Now to go and do your outlining, you're not going to want to start your dagger stroke on the end right here and do this. You want to start on the inside of the line and come around and drag it out to the end. Come around and end it with the dagger stroke, and this with your dagger stroke, like this. So we smooth it out. This will help practice some of your accuracy. Now to color something in, like this right here, you want to go and you want to just do another line right inside of that line. Bring another one inside there and slowly close in that hole. Then you could actually back it up where your overspray won't get on the outside here. We'll outline this circle right here. Keep cleaning off your needle. Make sure that stays nice and clean so you get the full performance of this gun. Right in here to color this solid, we'll go right around the outside edge again with another line. What we're trying to do is build up away from the edge so we can open it up, our pattern, without getting overspray outside. And right here we can do that little shadow just like those balls we were doing. We'll back it up and off and off and off. So we'll keep looking at our pattern up here, outline here, on, off, off. Keep going over that line to smooth it out with the dagger stroke. Make sure you have that dagger stroke down before you even start these. Now, don't worry about messing this up. Right now we're just, it's our first one. Don't worry about that, but if you do start screwing up or something right in the beginning here, finish the whole thing. Do the whole thing complete, then throw it away. Don't just throw it away and start a new one, because by the time you start just the eye and do it a couple times or whatever, that amount of practice could equal up to the whole skull that you did that one time. So it's the more practice you get. If you just do 7 eyeballs, that might be equivalent to doing one whole skull. So finish it all up. Nobody will see it. Toss it away. Do another whole skull. Okay? Don't just start it and throw it away. Back it up to shadow it. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. Still doing the dagger stroke. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. Just look at your reference. Look where the shadows are. Right up here, we got a shadow. On, off, off. Down here. Outline. Have to end every line with a nice perfect little dagger stroke. Okay, now remember them right at the bottom of that pyramid, those tight little dagger strokes we were doing. That's where it come into play around these teeth right here. You can get right in close. We're going to go on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. Come up very close, very close. On, off, on, off, on, off. On, off, on, off, on, off. As soon as that's not spraying, make sure you clean it off. Get it spraying. If at any time it ain't spraying, don't just keep pulling back. That's when it splatters out. Make sure you keep that, because when you're using that little bit of paint, you're using about 90% air to about 10% paint. It's going to dry up on the tip very quick and easy. So make sure you're always cleaning up. build up away from the tooth. Worry about getting, like I said, your first one perfect. Worry about getting your 25th one perfect. Go through this whole thing, do all the techniques, follow the shading and everything, outlining, get that all done, crumple it up, throw it away, go on to another one or whatever. We're just working on getting this down better and better, getting more and more control. You might want to try a couple things. If you're struggling and having trouble, a lot of spitting or anything like that, doing your fine lines, go ahead and add a little bit of water, a little bit of reducer, whatever it is for the paint that you have. If you have urethanes, add some reducer. Add some of the water if you have a water base, but thin it down a little bit, turn your air down, try some different things, see if you can get a nice fine line. Okay, so there we go. We've got it complete now. We took in our dagger strokes that we've got down, and we went in there and we went up close and we outlined it. We went over each line and got it all consistent and everything, just like we did with those dagger strokes when we were practicing that accuracy and everything. We got that down. We were able to outline it all very uniform. We went in there and did those little tiny dagger strokes around the teeth, like at the bottom of the pyramid right there. Then we went in there and we did our shadowing and shading like we did on the ball. We backed it up. You're going to go by this right here. That'll look back there. Wherever the shading is, you go and apply it right here. Once you get this all down. Now, if you have trouble in here, I mean, give it a shot. Go through the whole thing. Just see how much control you do or don't have. But if you have any control at all, problems or whatever, what you're going to want to do is go back to those dagger strokes. Don't be afraid to go back, because instead of going back, getting that down more, then coming back to this, you're going to struggle through these. You're going to do more and more of these skulls, and they're going to go, and they're going to get worse and worse. You have to get down the basics of that dagger stroke. That is the key to all the freehand stuff, is to master the dagger stroke. Okay, so I'm going to show you one of the ways we can go and transfer a picture onto something like this. Okay, so you went and you've seen how we did the flames, how we were able to trace them out and draw them. Well, now we're talking maybe a picture, something like this. Now, we got this from my skull reference material. In here, we've got 20 different layouts of all different skull. This is basically just reference if you needed a left side of a shot of a skull for the side of a tank or something. This one you want them streaming, you could use this one. This would be the right side, the left side. There's all different types of reference material in here that you can use. Nice side shot. Once again, you would go and you wouldn't use the original. If it's the size you need it, you just go and trace this right here with a pencil, put the lead side down, transfer it on, put the other side down, and you'd be able to do both sides with that one. Now, if you wanted to take that reference material and wasn't to size, then what you would do is you would go to a copier machine, take your original, and you could blow it up, and you can take that copy and you can scribble on the back side of it with a lead pencil. This will create carbon paper, homemade carbon paper, and you can trace that on. We'll get to that in a minute. If you want to blow it up, say this one right here, you didn't want to use the whole picture, but you like this skull right here on the side of the tank or something like that, you could go and take that, put it on a copier machine, and you could enlarge it to the size that you do need it. Forget about all the rest of it, but take that one right there, and you could then go in there and you could scribble on the back side, line it up right where you want it, tape it, trace over it, it'll transfer onto the tank. So now to trace this on, there's a good chance it's not going to show up a whole lot. Plus we're going to need a little bit of a background color so that we can start this. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take some of our white. We just get a general idea of where some of this would go, or this piece right here. And we'll just mist down some of the white. Make sure it's nice and dry. Okay, then we'll take our design, whether it be this one right here, this one right here. We'll go with this one right here. Okay, we'll take our design right here, and we'll just tape it to hold it in place. Remember, the pencil is already scribbled on the back here. You can use these over and over for years. And we'll just go in here. And we'll start tracing this out. if you can see there. Trying to keep it on the lighter side. Go back in there, and now that you can see it, we can decide to darken it up if we'd like. Basically, you just need to be able to see it enough to paint it. Now that we know it's working and everything, we'll lay our masking back down on there. Continue to sketch this all out. Okay, so now that you've gone, you pick out what you want out of here, whether it be all of it or just, I picked out this skull, and some of this right here. That's what I wanted on the side of it. When you're done and you've got what you want, you can peel this off. And I kind of pressed a little light because I don't want to get it too dark on there, because after all, if I don't cover up every pencil line, I don't want to be able to see it. So just keep it kind of light so that we can go and cover what we want. We can darken it up if there's any that are a little bit too light. So that's basically another technique to be able to get it onto the surface there. You don't need to be able to draw or anything like that. You're just taking and actually tracing. Now, say somebody comes to you with something like this and they want this big on the hood of their car or down the side of their truck or something like that. Well, of course, you're not going to go to a copier machine and you're going to blow this up, because it's obviously not going to be able to work that way. And now I'm going to show you how you get this perfectly, without even being known how to draw or anything perfectly. You can get this on, say, the hood of a car or a big panel or something like that. Right here we got this dragon scene right here, but whatever your picture is that your customer gives you. Now we're using what's called an opaque projector. There's a mirror inside here, light bulbs. We've got a lens right here that's going to blow it up. We just take our picture, we put it face down on there. We cover that up, put it on our hood of our car, whatever it is that we're projecting onto, and we can shut this off. Just focus that, get it to nice and clear, and then we would just simply go up. And now that we can see it all and everything, we could just go in here and we can trace his eyes, horns, nose. We can trace this all out with our pencil, nice and softly, and get it perfectly proportioned, whatever size. If we want this bigger than that, we'd back the projector up even more. If we'd like it smaller, we'd bring the projector in closer, focus it up, and that's how we get it on there perfectly, whether we can draw or not. Okay, so we're going to go and do something like this, and I'll give you a good idea how this works. Take this picture right here, put that right on our projector. Let's turn off our lights. And we can go in here and we can sketch this out. Okay, once we're all done sketching that out, we can turn all our lights back on. There you go, we've got it all sketched out now. We can go in here, and there's another way to put it on to get your image onto your surface. Mixed up a color here. It's mostly black. It's say 3/4 or more black with just a touch of purple, a little bit of reducer in it because it helped me get a little thin line a little better. Turn the air down a little bit, and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to do my dagger strokes. I'm going to go through this and outline the whole thing using all the techniques that we've covered in the earlier steps. Okay, so there we got just about all the outline and everything done. It's time to do some shading and some shadowing and stuff. Now, as you've seen from watching it, you mastered that dagger stroke. Every single time I pulled the trigger back, it was a dagger stroke. It started, stop, start, stop, but it always faded in both directions and everything will blend together. You master that dagger stroke and this is just going to become easier and easier all the time. Work on that dagger stroke, go through those techniques. Don't try to master the dagger stroke on the actual artwork. Master it on that pyramid and those different techniques that we went over. Now we're going to go in here and we're going to work on our shadow. Remember, we were up about that close when we were doing our dagger stroke for our line itself. Now we're going to back it up to the size we need for different shadows here. Back right in here, we're going to back it way up, you know, and then right here we'll get in a little bit closer, but still we're far enough away to make a nice drop shadow shading. So I'm going to go in here and shade now. Okay, so now when we're all done shadowing and shading it, now we're going to add some color. I'm going to use some blue. Now we're using transparent colors to build this up. Why? Because it's easy and just see how we can blend them and everything. But we're going to start with the blue. How easy it is to add color. You can go and make it as dark as you want. Now all we're working on right now is just him right there. We're not worried about our overspray, anything like that. We're going to mask him off and build a background to bring him out and everything. So we're just worried about him for right now. Now the middle of him, I'm trying to make that our focal point. So I'm going to leave it a little bit lighter. I'm going to put darker around the edges and just make it come lighter towards the center here. Now we're going to go in here and we're going to be highlighting everywhere. So remember, we need a little bit of color in here. Okay, we don't want it white, we just want to have a light area of blue. Okay, let's dry that up and we'll add some white. Okay, now that we added some color, we're going to go in here and we're going to add some highlights and detail with the white. Now when we're doing the white, we want to take and, almost like when we were doing the ball, where we want a top left hand corner or so, we want a nice little hot spot or a highlight. Now as you notice, I've turned the pressure down quite a bit and I've reduced the white down. Helps me to get fine detail easier. Okay, now we'll work on the background. We're going to take our clear mask and just cover it up. And we're going to cut this out. Once again, remember to lay that blade down on that super sharp edge. Peel off the background, keep him covered up, so we can now start our background. Okay, so now that it's all covered up, we're going to start with our black, the dark black mixture there, and we're going to put that all in the background. We're going to make an eerie, stormy looking sky. Okay, so now I laid out some black, left a little bit of, kind of clouds and stuff like that. I want some blue to show up. The rest of it I made dark and stuff. Down here, kind of almost like an indication of maybe some ground or something. Maybe I'll go in here and do some tombstones or some dead trees or a cemetery scene. I don't know, whatever. We're going to take the blue. We're going to go right over top of it, start adding some dark blue color to it. Okay. So now that we got our blue on there, mixed with the black, nice stormy, dark background stuff, just took a piece of Scotch-Brite pad here and I just ripped it, and you get this nice faint edge right here that we can take in here, and we can go in here and just make some clouds. Very quick and easy. just take a piece of paper. We'll just draw some tombstones on here. We'll go and cut those out. Hold these up here and we'll just put a little dusting behind them to bring them out. Move it over just the tiniest little bit. Just from a distance, lightly hit it. So we can give a little edging to them. Put some more over here. That's our mist and clouds to bring them out. Move them over a tiny little bit, kind of like we were doing a glass technique. Lightly dust it. You can put a couple more. Move them over. Dust over and push them farther back. I go in here and make a couple bigger ones. And cut that out. We can take our black mixture and go in here and detail these tombstones up a little bit. Give a shadow cast to it. We can use our hand. Soft shadow. Don't need a whole lot of detail. Go up here. A little bit of shadow up there. Put a big tree branch or so going through here. Just about the same as doing the lightning. Going upward. You can make some nasty stuff hanging. Want to go in there and highlight the top side where the light would be hitting. Just highlight here and there. Dust white over top of those branches. Give it that illusion that it's back more. Okay. And why don't we go in here and put a little bit of lightning coming up. We can go and we can build up our nice wide spray first. Going where we want, off of each corner. Now for this particular one, I'm not going to go in there and add another blue color. I'm going to leave a nice bright white lightning so I could actually go and just go right in and do my lightning. And add my little white glow around it after. Whichever I want to do first. Back it up, do that little brighter glow around it. There we go. Okay, let's unmask it, see how it looks. That background should really bring this guy right out now. Now we can go in there and we can highlight and darken the background and the foreground together, add a little blue in the background if we feel, or darken him. I'm going to darken him a little bit more so this looks more like a black robe. blue. And we'll go up here and we'll add a little bit more blue. I want a little more blue. And there we go.